Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Drop your location. Wacha tuone location mahali mko. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2. And I wonder if you know what it means to find your dream. And I wonder to find your dreams come true. Naona naona Roy Sambu, Eric Ndeya ako huko, Dagoreti. Ati leo nimechelewa. Wewe uoni vile kunanyesha wewe uoni huku stima zinapotea saa zenye zinataka. And I wonder if you know. Fedha, BCM. Kevin Muigai anasema I'll tell people I followed him when he was at 8k subs. And I wonder if you know what it means to find your dreams come true. Rahim Tula, kama kawaida, kama kawa, kama dawa from the UK. Welcome. We love your insights. I was trying to crunch the what is it? The KCB financials were released earlier today. And I was trying to crunch it. So if you follow me on Telegram, Rahim Tula, my Telegram is at Francis Guido. I can post it. I think it's it's 68 to 70 pages. The PDF of their financials. It's better you know, we can crunch it together. I was just trying to, every time I'm having like so much to handle at a single time. Joyce, thanks for coming in from Dallas. Nancy from US, welcome. Share the link. So if you have any question, I'm trying to do a pilot. Just let me see whether I can be able to aggregate the questions. But the topic of today is I've been seeing Nyako and Akothee like fighting. Bernard Kilu from Qatar, welcome. Bernard Kilu, if you don't know, the first time I came to Qatar was in 2012, and what I was doing is I was arranging international friendly matches on behalf of Egypt, and at that time football had been banned in Egypt because there was a crisis in Port Said. So there was a match there where people went to, Al Ahly was playing in Port Said, and then the fans there had ganged up to fight with the radical supporters of Al Ahly. They're called ultras, and so like I think 70 died, or 70 or 80, some number there. They always remember it every year. So because of that, football was banned, domestic football was banned, and it was chaotic. So we had to play Egypt national matches in Qatar in a neutral territory. So one of the games we played there was Harambee Stars versus Egypt. And it was Mohamed Salah's first senior team appearance for the Egypt national team. That time they hammered they hammered Harambee Stars 5-0, which is weird because okay, let me tell you how it happened. So in that same year, in 2012, in January, there was an Africa Cup of Nations. So there was an AFCON. So Senegal and Guinea requested me or the people I was working with to get them a friendly match because Uganda had qualified, if I'm not wrong. And so they wanted a team which was playing almost identically to Uganda. So Kenya was the Kenya was, we selected Kenya. We selected Kenya. So once we selected Kenya, we played Senegal. So we went to Dakar. We played in Senegal with Harambee Stars and Guinea. But this wasn't the Harambee Stars, the original Harambee Stars, because Francis Kimanzi had sworn he's not going to play a game that I was organizing. I want to tell you how some stupid people in football are. Because he knew through me he wouldn't be able to do the koso that they do with the national team. So what we did is we created a new national team, an under 23. We created it like in 2 days. So we got a new coach. We got James Nandwa as the coach, and then we started. What is it? And then we got new players under 23, and so these new players included players like Kahata, players like Mangoli, players like Kiongera, players who ideally were never called up for the national team. Just new players. They never used to be called up by the national team because kuna kuanga na ujuaji na ukemenyano mwingine unakuanga na hiyo Harambee Stars, like another ghetto mentality that now the coaches, if it's Jacob Ghost Mule, if it's Francis Kimanzi, they are only going to call up players from Mathare United, Tusker. It was always a Nairobi affair. And so this time we mixed it and we created a new team. When we went to Senegal and they were playing against, you remember the hot shots at the time, Dembaba, Jibril Cisse. They went there, they lost 0-1. And then now we went to Guinea in Conakry, and we were playing at in their home territory. So we drew 1-1, and so and then now we went to Qatar. It was very nice. We played that. I remember we played that match at Al Harafa Stadium, and then Egypt was so on fire because there was a lot of emotions after what happened in Port Said. It was February. It was in February 2012. I remember very much, very well. And then we also played some other matches there for Egypt, and then I remember. And then we played in. They are not fixed matches. Those are friendly matches. There's a difference between friendly matches and fixed matches. Fixed matches are mostly within the competitive realm because some of these matches even were not even appearing. Like when we were playing, it wasn't even a hyped match. There wasn't even so much audiences, rarely on TV. So those were not fixed matches. The fixed matches, you'd be surprised at the number of fixed matches. You'd be surprised when you read these prolific fixers when they talk about even they get to the highest of the leagues. There's a Twitter handle. It's called what? Invisible Dog. and it captures this prolific fixer. Have I've not been thinking about football in long also, but he came to fix a Harambee Stars match, but it was a qualifier match versus Nigeria, and so he was bragging that I fixed that match, I made Nigeria qualify. You understand? He's it's called who? Yeah. So it's interesting when you think about the potential and the power of football. And then today, Ababu Namwamba was in the Senate, and then those senators were asking him very stupid questions. You see, the Kiambu senator, Karungo Adhangwa, was asking him, hey, hi, since if FIFA are the ones who form the World Cup, and CAF are the ones who create the Babila Papu Ameniskuma Kakitu. Thank you very much. Karibu sana. If these what are they called? If FIFA are the ones who organize the World Cup, and if CAF are the ones who have organized the AFCON, why don't we organize the Kenya Cup? That's a question asked by a senator elected by people from Kiambu. In fact, somebody was proposing that Kiambu be banned from elections, being put in under an administrator, because how is it a coincidence that you are electing the biggest idiots, top to bottom, one county contributing so much malaise in the governance ecosystem, so much mud, so much dirt. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Yeah. So I'm getting your questions over here. So I told you I have a new format. Rahim Tula Omar Gachagua. First of all, let's delve a bit in the issue of the day. I hate seeing people fighting. I hate seeing that fight, instead of thriving within that platform, it now starts cross-pollinating into other platforms, other media. So when I see Nyako and Akothee fighting, I'm like, yo, this is a distraction. Me, I'm so paranoid. Humble hustle, karibu kutoka Mombasa. I'm like, me, I'm so paranoid. I never see William Dolan. Welcome from New York. New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. Has your dream been made in New York? That's the question. So I hate seeing fights like that. I'm so paranoid that maybe now nakuanga overthink. You just tell me. When I see Nyako and Akothee fighting, I'm always in my feels. I always think that this is a state-sponsored distraction, because there's a lot happening concurrently. Because I told you they are stealing a lot of money and doing a lot of nothing, but concurrently they are appearing too much in the media. On Diak Madness, welcome from North Carolina. Oh, Carolina. So I need to understand what happens, because a lot is happening simultaneously. Yeah, a lot is happening concurrently, because they are stealing a lot of your money and they are doing a lot of nothing, but they are still appearing in the media like people who are doing a lot of stuff. Mogo Joseph, karibu kutoka Lodwa. They are still appearing in the media as if every day they are in the media. And so it's an obfuscation tactic. You think that they are delivering on their promises and on their pledges, or they are doing something important, but they are genuinely not doing a lot of nothing. Let's take an example. Yesterday, some hawker was had their, because Sakaja used to work with Uhuru on these mind distraction techniques, so he knows what they used to do with Cambridge Analytica and everything. So he's now the governor of Nairobi, doing absolutely nothing, with a lot of corruption scandals, haunting him. So yesterday, some hawker who was selling anga jugu karanga ati zinaangushwa na mtu wa Kanjo. Coincidentally, there's somebody with a camera ako hapo tu na kamera anachukua, and then now you start with that woishe. Haki anaweza, no, ideally if it was a genuine infraction, what should have happened is the revolution should have started there, which is what happened in Tunisia in 2009 when the Arab Spring started. They were in Tunis. The guy of the Tunis Municipal Council went and harassed a hawker. That hawker doused himself in alcohol and fire and lit himself. He died, and that's where the revolution started. So this one, coincidentally, immediately were going woishe. It's just that we become so woke, we become so hostile with these philanthropists that we were just waiting to see if there's somebody who's going to start a GoFundMe. Oh, tutume pesa hapa, tutume pesa hapa. We are very woke, but these days wamejua we have known them, so they are not our tokelezei sana. So and then now today, that same hawker, White Webuye from Colorado, karibu sana, that same hawker today walikuwa next na Sakaja hivi. And so everyone is like, oh, Sakaja, he's so caring. So back to what we were talking about. Step one, create a problem where none exists. Step two, manufacture the outrage, because yesterday it was trending. And even today it started trending. Even you have the big voices on Twitter. Twitter is the platform where now people control public opinion properly. Manufacture outrage, and then now you call this person, you chill, and then the media comes, they give you wall-to-wall coverage. If you don't see this as a script, then me, I'm the one who was a problem, probably. So, and then now shortly you're going to see, because you always say that me, why would I hate on somebody? I can't hate on somebody, but if you're going to do something and it appears in the public, then it is me, because I have every right to subject it to scrutiny. Not just me, anyone, as long as it's in the media. So shortly, it wouldn't be plausible that if I didn't raise this issue, that kid could have next appeared on one of those sub stories of Lynn Goge. And now that completes the chain of the of bad governance. And because you have seen your governor so much in the media for that, you will misconstrue that the governor has worked. Utafikiria Sakaja leo ameshinda kazi just because of that, because there has been a lot of fatiguing. You've been mentally worn down by that story, and then suddenly it comes up. So there is some chemical reaction in your head. Because first of all, don't forget, you were outraged, and then you became emotionally depressed to see a hustler like that one, his stuff has been spilled, has been poured down, and then suddenly he meets Sakaja. So you've come from like that, and then like that. That entire chemical reaction. South Sea, Vinci, Malik, you're in Belgium. Welcome. Are you in Brussels? The victim is apparently a 14-year-old kid from Burundi. So that whole is called what? Roller coaster of emotions has left you so fatigued, so weighed down, that you're now, and then now you're going to sleep, ni kama umeshinda umelima, because that whole emotional incident and episode has left you so drained. And then now you see that kid now going to cry on Lynn Goge's stories. And then you tell me that this is not scripted, this is not choreographed. Come on, you guys, man. You guys are taken for fools. I told you Kenya is a psyop. Malik Ahmed, you're in Antwerp. Thanks, Antwerp, and thank you very much. I've never been to Antwerp. I've been to Brussels. I had a friend who was living in Brussels. I visited them, but I was on my way to Paris. So I would, because it was cheaper using Ethiopian Airlines, when I'm going to France, I would land in Brussels, take a train from Brussels airport to Brussels Midi, and then I take a train there. It was only like 100 euros and then I take the whatever to Paris, to Gare du Nord. Good old days. I remember those days with nostalgia. One day maybe my TGY, Karibu from Kibra, Karibu Sana. I remember them with my nostalgia. I don't want to give these stories in a media format because a lot happened. There were so many other dynamics. I'll do my memoirs one day, talk about my experiences. Yeah, so it was an emotional, but I knew immediately when I saw yesterday and I saw the reaction. I tweeted, I'm like, ideally this is where the revolution should have started, when that Kanjo guy poured that stuff. That's where the revolution. Why are we being told to feel Woshe? Why are we being told to feel some sympathy for this kid? It should be anger. But the first person who came out with the video, the one who made it trend, that's the guy who is on the payroll of Sakaja, the guy who made the first video viral. And then now, you know, they do whatever they want. So you see, like now, Gachagua is on the media doing absolutely nothing. Every day he's creating. And you guys were saying that, oh, Gachagua was selected over Kithiki Kindure because of his money. No, it's because of the PR value that they bring. Many people think that David Ndii is a genius economist, that he was appointed by Ruto because of his economics. No, it is of the PR value, because he is able to talk. Now, for you to be around Ruto, you have to be so toxic. You have to be so able to use your social media platform to distract national attention. Look, this lady called Anne Jerry. Anne Jerry is talking about oil, her 17 billion oil. Now, she was interviewed by a journalist the other day. I think the media, I think Citizen, they went to Mombasa to look for her. Apparently, she was ambushed of the Akashas. And she, sorry. Sorry. And she started telling us about Oscar Sudi. Oscar Sudi had gone for a meeting with her representing Ofisi Kubwa. Ofisi Kubwa is State House. That is, and now I don't know what interest Ofisi Kubwa has with that oil. So for now they have to deflect the official involvement of Ofisi Kubwa. They have invoked the name of very many businesses. They started with businessmen. They started with Humphrey Kariuki. They started saying that Humphrey Kariuki was involved with that 17 billion oil. Then now they've gone to Haron Mwau, meet the face of Haron Mwau, the person behind that. They are trying to deflect attention from the fact that they tried to insinuate themselves in that consignment of fuel. And who is doing it? Oscar Sudi. How did Oscar Sudi get to where he is? Now he looks like the fixer. He looks like the Noah Araptor of the Ruto regime, because every regime normally has an official fixer, a guy who goes to conduct unscrupulous business on behalf of the official authorities. But because he's such an outlier, there is plausible deniability. So in any time, whatever Oscar Sudi is doing, in everything that he's doing, the government can, deny. They can deny. They can say this guy is just a lunatic. He's just a tenderpreneur. He's just a whatever. He's just a mercenary working on his own. But there is this private jet. I don't know whether you saw Harambee Stars going to Gabon. They used a private jet from Skyward Express. Now that Skyward Express, because I have my contacts, that flight, Sudi has been flying with it to that particular jet. They have almost like a private jet. Sudi has been using it to fly from Nairobi to Eldoret to run some unofficial errands. So, but Sudi, what was he before Ruto became president? He was just a guy who was shooting videos on social media. He was threatening. He used to say, "Mama Kina wewe, Uhuru wewe." He was always spreading that fear and low vibrational energy. When Sudi speaks, and then he starts talking about his trial and whatever. There was a time alinyang'anywa security. You feel some emotion. You feel some emotion in you, because he has that tone. It's almost a tone like that one of pastors. Have you ever had those pastors once they start preaching, paka unashtuka. So Sudi has that tone. Another person who has that tone is this former, not Molo, is it a Molo MP or whoever? This guy is called who? Bahati MP. That Bahati MP. Jasmine from Saudi, welcome. That Bahati MP, what's his name? The guy who comes and speaks, watch you about Kenya. He's always trying to trigger us. And we've lived our lives being triggered. Like now, I've lived around people who are telling me how people of Rift Valley want to take our land, and Luos want to do this if they get in power. And it's all fear meant to curate a certain reality for the political establishment of the day. Until one day I decided to wean myself from that fear, which is why I don't listen to those. Mwai Cairo, he tells me, it's called Kimani Gonjiri. Once he starts talking, with a tone meant to trigger fear. Another one, I'm telling you, this is how the regime harvests your energy and your productivity. Eric Ndeira, karibu sana. This is how the establishment, the status quo, harvests your productivity. Kilifi pesa yenyu ilikulwa, waligula kule Instagram, waligula. So he comes there with a lot of fear. Let me tell you, you know, Kikuyus, you're joking. Kikuyus, you're going to make a mistake. You will make. They want to be elected. They want to keep you in a suspended state of anxiety, so that they can, as they are looting the money, you are there, you're wondering, you've been painted with imaginary enemies, you've been bombarded with a lot of sideshows, so that you are very valuable to Ruto if you can do that. Which is why Oscar Sudi is valuable, because all he has to do is go on his phone and then just start talking rubbish. Start saying, and then there'll be a bunch of idiots who are going to follow him and, you know, be baited by his emotional tactics. Again, David Ndii is not there about his economics. David Ndii is there, but he's put there deliberately so that he can misinform the public, and then these will be, you know, curated tweets, and then he trends, and then those tweets will be in the newspaper, especially in the Business Daily and all these business articles. And then now his work is to keep the donors in check. Because remember, donors is also another important constituency. They need to keep the engine flowing, the oil, which is the money. They have to keep on giving the money. And then no projects are being done by the donors. But then they need all these graphs, you know, to hoodwink donors, to hoodwink muzungus. I used to see those NGOs, they just work on a few things, they do a few images, and then boom, boom, kaboom, Muzungu ametoboka do. Because even muzungus, they like sob stories. Muzungus, they don't like, if you go and start reasoning with a muzungu, they don't know, especially with black reasoning, they don't know. So that's why you'll hire the muzungus who come to Kenya. The top will be coming to State House because they want to change the laws to suit their businesses, and then the bottom now will come here for philanthropy, for Mr. Beast kind of crap. They'll come here for NGOs and whatever. So, but you can never have a muzungu conversating with me. They are going to feel very intimidated because my knowledge, my travel, my everything. I'll immediately, I'll look at you and tell you, bro, you're not worth my time. Then, even in your own country, you're probably in Kenya because you can't thrive in your country. So, to keep muzungus in check, now you need David Ndii now to create all those bar graphs and all those flow charts to show how they are building the economy, and now the muzungus will give the money. And so there was a video I saw on one of these Twitter handles, no TikTok, and it was Moi opening the Cabernet Olengoreini and Litein Road. That road, it was, if you saw it, it was on that GHC book, the ultra modern Cabernet Iten Road. You remember that GHC book we were reading in the 90s, in 844? and it was written there. So there is that video which was done, and I could just think of your boomer parents and grandparents watching. And then there were Muzungus. When he was going there, there was a line, there was like 10 Muzungus, he was greeting them, hello, hello. And I couldn't help but relate how Moi was always surrounded by a plethora of Muzungus, just like Ruto is right now. If you look at State House, Ruto, every week is meeting a different crop of Muzungus. So the theft of our country, the destruction of our economy is hand in hand with Muzungus. And this is the same blueprint they used during the Moi era. And in William Ruto, they've seen another Moi. Remember, their interest is to emasculate us. Their interest is to destroy us. They may not be doing it directly. They may not be the ones here, like during the colonial era, occupying our land and doing what. But in a puppet like Ruto, then they can be able to achieve the same objective. Because we are distracted with a lot of PR shenanigans. There's no media house that is delving into the real issue. Every day is a side show. JCW uko Kilimani, asante sana. Unaniita huko tukunywe madrinks lini JCW, man? Tuchape madrinks. Tuchape madrinks. So every day, all these guys have to do is send a statement, and then their media is there. Like now today, Waiguru sends a statement. I'm like, and then Kenyans on Twitter. How can we help Kenyans on Twitter? But most of them are paid to keep us distracted. Mwandau Mwasho, karibu kutoka Taita. I miss just coming to Mombasa, but I can't come now. It's the rains, man. Unaweza kuja huko ujipate ukidrown. So anyway, Waiguru sends a statement, and then she's talking about we've not received this money, and then she starts trending just because she has written a statement. Nobody took time to a commentary woman. Hey. Thank you. I didn't know you were online, man. It's been a minute we haven't spoken. After the live, call me up, man. Hit me up. We have a lot to discuss. So Waiguru sends a statement. Immediately she's trending. The people who are analyzing or sharing her statement haven't even crunched the numbers that she's talking about. They just go on sharing, and then she's talking about these billions haven't been sent. I don't know, these counties haven't sent. And these guys have received 4 trillion between 2013 and 2022. Can we first address that? You have received 4 trillion Kenya shillings in devolution funds without anything to show. No legacy project, no investment, no what. I saw the Marsabit governor. He was on Citizen the other day. Hana aibu. Anaulizwa, can you make dams? Are you going to trap water? There is El Nino now. In a few months, you're going to be here telling us about drought. Now you're telling us about floods. Have you made any dam? No, we don't have money. There is a guy who was showing me how to make an temporary water reservoir. It is so easy. It shouldn't even cost more than 2 million shillings to make a temporary reservoir with those nylon papers and everything. If they are done like that in different places like that, these guys, they just know how to steal. That's their blueprint. And we've been entertaining them every time they come on media. A commentary woman, I don't know why I'm not getting her whatever, I don't know why I haven't received it. A commentary woman has said that Nyako and who is this other person? Who is Nyako and Akothee are deplorable people. These are, first of all, very old people. Very old people who are shouting. They're not shouting anything intellectual. They're not telling us about our issues which bother us as a country. Now both of them are very old people. What was there? And it's a bad picture seeing old people like that fighting in front of us, insulting each other in front of us. Hawajiheshimu. And then why, even if you're fighting genuinely, aren't you able to use some back channels to discuss and say, we need to set a good example, we need to right the wrongs? Akothee has been in the media for so long, doing all sorts of shenanigans. Doing what? doing weddings, doing everything. People, the amount, and there was a time she had so much clout. And I said it on Mo Africa's podcast, and I'll say it again. I used to always ask myself, if I had an ounce of that influence, what would I do? I would try and do things. When I look back, I'll be proud of myself. That this is, I said this, I called this, we were able to stop these PR shenanigans. We were able to reach into the moral, probably non-existent moral sensibilities of Lynn Ngugi, to tell her that stop being used by the establishment to push these sub stories to keep people, drain people's energy, to harvest people's productivity, because this is what is happening. They are harvesting our productivity. Somebody, and I asked you, I am going to ask you a question right now. When was the last time you laughed uncontrollably? When was the last time you laughed until you choked? You probably cannot even remember. Because every other time, not just Lynn Ngugi, there are so many other people who are harvesting your energy and your productivity. But remember, harvesting is somebody picking, living, unasikianga hasira ya mkizi, furaha ya mvuvi. So the harvester is the one who is benefiting, is enjoying. Hasira ya mkizi is the fish that is being extracted from the ocean. Furaha ya mvuvi. And you know, hasira ya mvuvi is one person. The fish are a lot. Like now, if you go with a net, you're going to see a lot of fish. So the person who is harvesting, the person who is harvesting is only one fisherman versus hundreds and thousands of fish, whatever you want to call them. So there are people a small clique of people who are harvesting your energy, who are draining your productivity. You feel all the time you're tired, you're sad, because the stories which are being bombarded around you, you ask yourself, when we were liberalizing the media sector, for instance, there was a time SK Macharia in 2001, Moi wanted to shut down Royal Media Services. And then SK Macharia was there, his machines were being taken, alikuwa ameenda na pajama, alikuwa amesikia watu wa by then it used to be called the Communications Commissions of Kenya. And alikuwa amesikia ameenda huko, he pulled up there in his pajamas, and then they were taking his transmitters, and then akaanza kuzishika hivi, he was fighting. And so he started supporting Mwai Kibaki regime, because we also saw him as he was fighting for the liberalization of the media sector. And so when Kibaki got in, what he did, he started holding frequencies. And so most of the frequencies now are owned by SK Macharia, because he consolidated during the Kibaki era. And you guys always, Kibaki was an asshole also. Sorry for using that word. Somebody was telling me I should stop. I should target to appeal to young kids. So okay. So Kibaki was not an angel as you want to portray it. So he gave SK Macharia almost all the frequencies which had been appropriated for radio, and I think for TV. So if you want to start your own radio, you won't go and get a frequency from Communication Authority. You'll go and get it from SK Macharia, because he hoarded. This is the capitalism that we celebrate in Kenya, where you go and hoard, you buy because you have money, primitive accumulation from other sources. You go and you're given your allocation. And so because they want the corruption, how can we call it? The structure of corruption is that they know they cannot steal through the government. So they have to bring another private entity here in the front, because there they know they are not privy, they are not open to scrutiny from the controller and auditor general. Understand? So that's why there is always private enterprises in all these parastatals. So SK Macharia was fighting for the liberalization, so that KBC cannot be the only monopoly. But has that liberalization helped us? Has having vernacular stations, has it liberated people mentally? No, because it's just the language. It is just the language. They are playing into your ethnocentric biases. It's just the language that has changed, but the content is the same. So if it's like Royal Media, the editor is one, and then now the anchors, the presenters are different. There's one for Kameme and Dinoro, there's one for Wimwaro, there's one for Ramogi, there's one for what. So you think that there is diversity in the content delivery, but there's nothing. The editor is one idiot, and that one idiot is going to determine the content. So are we liberating ourselves through our ethnicity? No. We are supposed to, yes, be proud of our languages. We are supposed to be, because tribe is an extinct concept in Europe, as we still have it. So we are supposed to be proud in our tribal identity. We are supposed to be learning about our history. Now, does the media do that? No, they come and play you with a lot of rubbish, with a lot of comedians, a lot of gospel musicians. The gospel musicians in Mount Kenya are the ones who determine who will be elected. And so if you go and give a good sub story, we were talking about this Embu senator. Naomi Murage says, in fact, with more vernacular stations, the more divided we became. So did liberalization of our airwaves help us? No. It is they create a problem. They create this idealization that if this happens, then this is the doors will open, things will be okay. We had been told for many years that once the liberalization of media happens, the life will be okay. Life will be popping, things will happen, things will, and so we have all these channels, we have all these stations, we have Kameme, Inoro, Imwaro, Ramogi. What do you have in the coast? There is Pwani FM, but the editor is the same. The content is the same. These are not independent units. First of all, they are not even controlled from that region. So Pwani FM is not controlled from Mombasa. Inoro is not controlled from Mount Kenya region, from Nyeri or Kiambu. It's not based there. Ramogi is not based in Kisumu. All of them are based in Nairobi. Who controls the levers of power is in Nairobi. So the content that you're consuming, the language is the delivery is the only difference, but the content is the same. The editor is one. So did liberalization of media help us? No. Have we extracted any benefit from the numerous stations that have been coming? No. You see, once you put that in context, then you'll know the kind of establishments that we are dealing with. You'll know that our energy is being harvested, our productivity is being diverted. It is not a coincidence that now, even with the liberalization of the internet, with the YouTube channels that you've been subscribing to, all of them have some residue, some have some hint of status quo messaging, state-sponsored propaganda. And we are supposed to be thriving in a liberal environment. We are supposed to be, I don't know what. But again, the question I ask you, how, it depends on what you want. It depends on, now back to what we were talking about, Nyako and Akothee. If these are the most followed individuals, very polarizing and toxic in themselves, fighting, giving us a bad example, giving themselves and their younger generations a terrible example, they are supposed to be, the beacon. They are supposed to be, because there are many people who listen to them except me. I will only listen to them when, like now, I see it overflowing on Twitter, and I'm seeing people covering Nyako and Akothee, and I'm like, this is supposed to be an intellectual platform. This is supposed to be where we discuss, we come to critique the government of the day, the government establishment. How then does it cross-pollinate to Twitter, to X? Oh, then you understand, you start piecing the dots, you start connecting the dots, you understand that there is a broader agenda of the day. These guys have an objective to keep you preoccupied. They have a broader objective to keep you under their yoke, under their whatever. You have to keep on singing to their tunes. So how long will you people, like now we are talking the Kenyans in diaspora, they are so invested in this Nyako versus Akothee, just like you were invested in Samido versus I think huyu dem anaitwa Mamake Boys and Ide and Karen Nyamu. You were so invested. I remember Suga Shambi, and this was filtering over to another platform from TikTok. She was on live. There you go, Jerry Springer show. There was Suga Shambi. There was one day she started blasting Karen Nyamo. Atiyo bwana yako, if I wanted to sleep with him, I would have slept with him. If I wanted to do this, I would have done it. He was in my house. He was, and I'm like, bro, you guys are so old to be doing such dumb stuff. You know, there is nobody there who is below 45. There is nobody there who is below 45 years. Now, what you guys, those guys are the guys, they went to diaspora a long time ago. They went to diaspora a very long time ago. Now, you are here telling me that, oh, I'm bashing people, Kenyans in diaspora and whatever. Now I'm asking you now, like now that Suga Shambe now fighting over Samido and whatever. I'm asking, so why aren't you going there to be mentally awakened, liberated, economically? You're going there to be economically liberated, because we were told for ages that once you get money, the thinking changes. And so the problem was, Kenya, there are no jobs. Let's now take you to America. But once you get there to America, you are still consuming the same content which is being consumed by Kenyan peasants. So how different does that make you? Of what benefit are you to the grand scheme of things if you're consuming the same content that a Kenyan peasant is consuming? So like now, if you are so invested in this Nyako versus Akothee war, let's call it war, and you can see the comments, you can see the media has jumped in. So one is in diaspora, one is in Kenya. It's also almost like there is a battle of supremacy. While we have common issues to be talking about, we have bad governance, we have corruption, we have everything that is happening around us. You just walk out of your house, there's something, there's an element of bad governance that you should be talking about, because I can't be talking about everything around the country. If we had people now coming out, you talk about corruption in your region, another one, like now I was challenging the people of Embu, I was challenging Yamimami. Yamimami is Naomi Murugi Muni, sorry. And these are the chick Mwalimu Recho. I was telling them, you have never spoken about Embu. It's a red flag. Are you on the payroll of the politicians of that area? But you always mention Embu. You always plug in Embu in your content. You always say, I'm from Embu. I'm Embian. I'm what? I'm the babe from Embu. But you never talk about Embu. So who is? You see, there is something here. There is when we talk about 4 trillion has been embezzled, that's devolution money. And we talk about Kenya is in the debt of 10 trillion, 10 trillion, which cannot be identified with any project. This money has ended up on the people who you are consuming their content out there. It's ended up there. I could be extremely wealthy if I was prostituting myself to the political class. I don't like even meeting them. I don't like even engaging with them. I don't like creating these friendships with them, because they will ask me to do favors that I won't be capable of. They will ask me to suspend my rational thoughts, my common sense, and now start defending them. I told you, you can subscribe to a celebrity, but you can hate their politics. So I like Andrew Kibe. I like the steps that he grew in, but I hated his politics. I hated that he was defending William Ruto. That's it. And me, what I've said to shield my mental space, I'm going to limit my interaction with the political class, to stay away from them, because they will demand, because it's never ending. Anytime I've worked with somebody who was in power, they always were extracting from me, like they wanted me, they send me what, tweet this, post this, talk about this. And I need to maintain my personal identity. I need to maintain my integrity. So I'd rather, forfeit those. I'd rather forfeit those handouts and whatever than promote their lunacy. You see, so I have shielded myself in that manner. Uh, and so every day, trust me, there are always so many attempts to draw me into this conversation, into this, but I'm able immediately to know from whatever email I receive or from whatever SMS I receive, I'm able to know immediately that this is a distraction. Here I'm being baited into getting into a war that I'm like somebody had told me ingia pale hiyo story ya Nyako na nini what, but I'm not discussing about it from the context of, oh, I'm bashing this one or this one. I'm like, you people, nyinyi wazee sana, you are very old women. You're supposed to be setting example, a good example to other young women who have joined the digital space. You're supposed to be mentoring. You're supposed to be opening up the space, but not fighting, not harvesting, energy harvesting. You understand? And now the Kenyans in diaspora, I'm saying, my question is, how is it that you're so invested in all the drama, all the Udaku FM? How is it that you're so invested? How is it that you're so invested? I don't at the end of the day is a moment of introspection for you to ask yourself, if you're in the diaspora, if you're in Kenya and you've gone to school, you've gone to high school, you've gone to university, you've even brushed up and spruced up your 844 with even extra knowledge, you've gone and done some few courses. How then are you able to avoid everything that is happening around you and you zero in on such drama? How I don't understand. I need this social experiment, these psyops that has been conducted to us, starting from the Uhuru now to the Ruto regime. How is it able to capture you? How is it able to to drain your productivity, to drain your attention, collective attention? Ni kwani munaambiananga? Do you have WhatsApp groups huko in the diaspora where munaambiana leo sasa to focus na mambo ya Nyako na Akothee, tusahau that our families are suffering, we are sending them money all the time, they are asking us for money. Waringa's lifestyle, where have you been? I've been doing live for the last couple of days, man. Waringa, where have you been? But thanks. They are gatekeepers. Somebody, Mawama, is saying they are gatekeepers. So why do you have a WhatsApp group? I need to understand this hard mentality. Are you in a WhatsApp groups in the people of diaspora where you are told now, let's handle this, and this is what will preoccupy our time for this period, this week, and then next week we can look for another distraction, we can go there. Elvis Kemathi thinks it's the evil algorithm. Yeah, you have a point. You have a point. You have a point. So as we, as we go on the journey of awakening, as I am Lucy is saying that she doesn't find that content interesting. So as we approach the awakening, it's good to understand where we fell off the wagon. Huh? These are the areas we fell off the wagon. There are all these YouTubers. Just like we were saying, the liberalization of the mainstream media, of the airwaves, did not come forth with enlightenment. It's the same thing we could say about our social media blowing up. Immediately, the Uhuru regime started seeing the potential of social media, of Twitter and everything. They placed gatekeepers. They placed all these people who distract our collective attention, who divert any form of mass action. It is diverted. It is so energy harvesting is real. I asked, nobody answered the question. When was the last time you laughed uncontrollably? You laughed until you choked. You laughed until you shed tears. When was the last time that happened? I'm challenging you to write over there. When was the last time you laughed? You were having stories, you are having drinks with your friends, and then you laughed. No, you are meeting your friend and all of you seem to be consuming the same content. And so when you're coming, you're discussing, you start with, did you see that story on Lin Ngugi's YouTube? No. Did you see Nyako and Akothee fighting? No. All of you seem to be, and then now the one who has probably was been busy, has not watched. Now you start appraising them. Now you start updating them. Oh, this happened. So 1 hour, Martin Wahome asiwezi simama Thika. Can't simama Thika. Thika is a very rural town. I cannot survive in such a rubbish town, man. I'll go somewhere else, not Thika. So so when you meet up with your friends, you've left work. Work has been draining for you. Work has been draining you. Then you go and meet up with your friends at a drink. So what will be the conversations dominating? It will be, oh, what the gatekeepers have been pushing as content throughout the week. So if it's the sob stories by you know who and you know where and you know what, if it's those sob stories, if it's the war, the TWIF, the artificial manufactured war between Akothee and Nyako, you can see the people who are writing the comments there. Somebody there is telling you the last time he laughed was 2012, uncontrollably. You need to understand that there are people who are harvesting your energy. I've told you from now, look at somebody called Kimani Gonjiri. Look at his comments. Look at Oscar Sudi anytime he does a social media space. He comes here, he tells you, you the Kenyans, you're the ones who are taking. You look at Moses Kuria, look at Kimani Ichung'wah. That's the only reason they've been employed by Ruto. That's their only value component. That's the only thing that is required for them, because this Ruto regime is wired for corruption. So they need adequate distraction mechanisms. Adequate distraction mechanisms. So you are there, you're consuming content, and then you go and share it, and then afterwards now you go to church. Now the clergy who are now on the payroll, they come and give you establishment propaganda embedded in religious scriptures and whatnot. And so you're just there, you're consuming, because you never take time to sit back and wonder, why am I going to this church? Why am I listening to this guy? Just as Kahiga says, the worst thing ni kuuliza msee ni unaendelea aje. Crazy answers. So like today, Humble Hustle is saying the last time he laughed uncontrollably was a long time ago. I just noticed, especially when during COVID, I was hanging out with my friends, and then they started draining my energy. And I remember I used to spaz out on I have my own WhatsApp group. I would go and spaz out there, and I'm wondering. Immediately, I stopped hanging out with them. I stopped being angry, because then they would, first of all, bombard me with a lot of negative energy, which I told you is energy harvesting. And so, are you aware of your surrounding? Are you aware of what if you are? They say if you are what you eat. If you are what you eat. Now, can you imagine if you are what you consume, if you are what you eat mentally, if you are what you consume on media? So if that is who you are, if your work is consuming state-sponsored propaganda meant to harvest your energy, so you can imagine how much of a drainer you are to your friends, to your family. We've grown up with toxic parents. There's a kid who I saw, the guys on Twitter, mourning. It was called Dre, and his last tweet was about toxic parents before he committed suicide or something. And he was talking about toxic parents. Now, why would the toxicity that your parents had was inherited from the colonial era? The colonialists had to trigger mass sadness, so that you can go to church to think of that imaginary place called heaven. And as you were there, they dispossessed you of your land, of your property. They turned you into squatters. They turned you into slaves. So if you are, and so people became that. They became toxic. Your grandparents became toxic to your parents, and then your parents became toxic to you. So all of this is inherited trauma, but it is manufactured somewhere. There is a source. Now you, instead of breaking the cycle, breaking the chain, you are extending it. You're extending the lunacy. You're becoming your parents. You're becoming boomers. So, and when do you sit back and ask yourself, why am I consuming this? Why am I listening to this pastor? Why am I listening to Kemani Gonjiri? I don't know what happens in other communities. There must be, because I remember when I used to watch Akina Amason Kingi. They were very tribal. Akina Amason Kingi, when he was campaigns, they were very tribal against Mount Kenya people. Even Joho, they would speak. The Costarian politicians were very tribal, and you'll see there's a lot of sentiment against Mount Kenya people. But all these guys are simping for Wanjiros. You'll see them simping for Wanjiros. So they come there, they tell you, awa ni wabaya, awa watoka bara. They used to call us watoka bara. They used to what? And it started during those days of the Mpeketoni, Likoni clashes and everything. Awa watoka bara. Yeah, you in Rift Valley, they were talking about the people of Mount Kenya. They were saying Madoadoa. There was William Olentimama. He was telling people from other places lie low like envelopes. The people of during 2007 when they were planning. Somebody Gekonyo says when you relocate to the diaspora, the little dollars they make you danderheads. When you get those little dollars, when you get in diaspora, you become danderheads. That's not me. You've seen a Fantas Gekonyo has posted that. So if I would hear all these guys, and then later I would meet them. This guy has a chick, he's a Kikuyu. We were talking about Amason Kingi and what's her name, Heintel Wanjiro. But when he gets the mic like this, kuna watu wametoka bara, kuna watu nini. So they play you, but personally they are doing the opposite of what. But you now you're fighting with your neighbor. You've grown up with this Kuyo guy. You've even done what you're now. I remember in 2007 they started banning even property, raiding homes. But these guys, Chidiamaji, they have Kyuk Clandes. They have Kyuk Clandes. So you need to understand who is triggering you. Your wife could trigger you. Your husband could trigger you. Your boys could trigger you. Your networks, your colleagues, anyone can trigger you. You can be triggered by anyone if you don't sit back to ask yourself, why am I angry? First of all, is the anger issue. Why are you being triggered by somebody else? What is their objective? But because many people walk in this earth without knowing, without taking a time to study. Notice, like me, I can stay in absolute silence. Like I can drive from Nairobi to Mombasa without my music system on, and I'm in my thoughts. I stopped listening to radio a long time ago. I don't even have, and I can't even tell you what radio says because I believe I can access my knowledge. And when I access my knowledge in my moments of silence, I am digesting. So, you have to leave space for your brain. Your brain is an organ. Your brain is a muscle, is an organ like any other. So when you're not listening or when you're not reading or when you're not consuming, you're supposed to be in silence so that you can digest whatever is happening around you, because a lot is thrown on us. But many of the people cannot stay without silence. So either your TV is on, your music system is on, you want to go to a bar with noise. Like now, I don't go to bars with a lot of noise. If it's not surround music, I'm not coming to your bar so that we can be shouting. Have you ever been? Have you ever been to a bar where people are shouting? You're shouting with each other. You can't even have a conversation. So me, I stopped listening to radio a long time ago, this morning radio. But now the radio people knew that their numbers are going down. That's why they have dominated our social media. They are on our Instagram, they are on TikTok, because they know nobody is listening to them. Because they are toxic. They have they have zero intellect. I can't waste my time listening to radio. So they are present in all other platforms. Like now, there was a time Kamenegoro was was trolling gamers. She was talking about gamers. She cannot marry somebody who plays the PlayStation. And I remember somebody challenging her and telling her, "No, this, what is she talking about? This Mukora, what is she talking about? She doesn't know gaming industry is $1 billion enterprise. You're talking about gamers who game, they're gaming for money these days. They're making thousands of dollars from their PlayStations and everything. And here you are thinking that gaming is just another, the amount of creativity that goes into the gaming industry in itself, the graphics, the computer, whatever they what, that is amazing. That is mind boggling. You see, so but you are here, you are assuming that, oh, blah blah blah, because you're gaming, this guy is idle because he's always on his TV and whatever, instead of thinking of how to channel that gift into revenue generation, income generation, to be a career. Now we'd be having Kenyan coders, Kenyan game people who are making games from a Kenyan context. Even the guys who play PS, the guys who play the rally, the one which includes Kenya, probably there is no Kenyan who has been involved in the making of those graphics. But Muzungus out there are using Kenyan images, Kenyan brands to do Safari Rally, and now you're playing it on your PlayStation, and there is no Kenyan participation because of this church mentality, religious mentality, that anything that you're not aware of, you start demonizing it. Anything that you are unfamiliar with, you start projecting it in negative light. You understand? So now I was talking about now radio, that such a young person who is supposed to be progressive is now shading the gamers. And so that gamer who challenged Kamenegoro came and said, "Yo, bro, the only reason I am seeing you is because I don't listen to your trash on radio anymore. But you have come to my space, which is the digital space, because what Radio Africa they do, they get those small clips and then now they share them on different social media platforms. So you have come to my space to throw shade at me, and I'm thriving in my gaming activities. This is all I do, and I make money." So that's why I stopped listening to radio. But I've stopped even listening to it before that, because there is no intellectual component there. There's just all these wars and everything manufactured there. I don't know, call-ins, scripted shows and everything. Yeah, so if you are what you eat, then I would prefer that you eat bad food, but you consume good content, because the brain is what is going to liberate us as a country, as a region, as a continent. You understand? You are what you consume. You are what you read. If your work is reading in the media, then they used to be all these manufactured polls by this CIA guy. What's his name? Kai Wolf, the guy of Stedman and Sinovate. And then he comes there and says, the most trusted institution in the country is the media. and so you think that the media is very open and above board. I've been within those media setups and see how journalists are chapward kakitu to push agenda. Sorry for belching. I know it will appear because my mic is here. It will Poleni sana. So if I would prefer you eat bad food, but you consume good content. I listened to this album by Damian Marley and Nas. It's called Distant Relatives. And there's a song, it's called This Spear. And it says, "This spear, Ayatollah Idi Amin, Menelik, your Maasai warrior. This spear, they keep on suppressing the humble man's opinion." And then he says, "My mind is my modern day spear." You hear the names he started with: Ayatollah Idi Amin, Menelik, your Maasai warrior. This spear, just look for that song. That's why Damian Marley pulled up here in 2017. I was there, nilikuwa VVIP hapo, nilikuwa nimesema I'm going to listen to this guy because of that album, because that was my first journey into the awakening. And when you hear the knowledge in that album, you see it They know what has happened. Like now, me, I've been fed from the lenses, or I've viewed Idi Amin through the lenses of the Muzungu. And I always thought, and I always believed this story, that Idi Amin was a cannibal, that he used to store people's meat in the fridge. I had believed that lies until I started seeing on TikTok the other day that Idi Amin was one of the first people to challenge Israel when Israel were looking at dominating or coming to settle in Uganda and Kenya. He was one of the people to call them out. He had even pledged to take troops to go and fight them. And I'm like, Jesus, my life has been a lie. But Akina Naz knew that Idi Amin was. So the first time I heard them mentioning Idi Amin in that album, I was like, yo, bro, why are you mentioning this guy? He was a cannibal. He was a bad person. Hmm? But then later, it has taken me so much because there was a block with the knowledge that we were accessing. There was a block. We could only learn so much. We could only learn content that is aligned with the mainstream agenda. So the mainstream agenda was controlled and dominated by the colonialists. And so we have believed that Idi Amin died as a bad person and he was a cannibal and he used to feed on people. And the movies they used to make about him, that he's going somewhere and then he says, hey, he sees a girl, he kicks out the son. It's crazy, man. All of that was a lie, man. This pair. Yeah. Hmm? Listen to that song. It's called This Spear, or Damian Marley and Nas. That was my first step into awakening. I swear to one God. When I started listening to that song back to back, I started listening to the words. Then I went on genius.com to start now deciphering the messaging. Hmm? Ian Goge is saying Idi Amin could speak several languages. But the image that has been curated, has been bombarded in our minds about Idi Amin, Jesus. Hmm? Ayatollah Idi Amin Menelekio Masai warrior. This pay, eh, they keep on suppressing the humble man's opinion. Hmm? He talk about everything about the colonialists and the establishment, what they've done to us as a black race. If you listen to that album, that's why they didn't push it in the agenda. And because the first hip hop wave of hip hop was so conscious, they knew they needed to water it down. That's why they planted all of these moles. You see, Liam Neeson is saying, "I'm hearing this now." I'm telling you, awakening is a process, and you cannot do awakening. You cannot awaken yourself concurrently listening to mainstream media, watching those energy harvesters, those sub stories on who you know whose channel. I don't want to be told that what because in Kenya we are so sensitive when it comes to criticism about issues that have been brought in the public domain for our very contribution, but they want us to respond to their content in the way that they expect. They don't want the valid opinions. AC Spacey, unaona already anasema Idi Amin anachoma. How do you even know about Idi Amin? Have you taken the initiative to read more about him? I saw his videos the other day on when this Israel Palestine started. They started the war started. The videos of Idi Amin started trending on TikTok, and I didn't know he was saying that. I didn't know he was his opinion. He was ready to send Ugandan troops to fight the Israelis because he knew the Israelis wanted to come and settle in Uganda and Kenya. I didn't know that. I just started seeing it on TikTok like 2, 3 weeks ago. And I'm like, damn, man. Nimebeba ufala hivi. Wameniokota hivi for so long. Damn. Hmm? William Dolan, by the time I finish my life, I am so drained. I can't even look at any comment. I'm so drained, so draining just having these conversations. Not even the energy taken as I'm talking is now when I think about the experiments that have been conducted on us, on our minds, on our bodies. Why? Simply because other people think we don't deserve good governance. We don't deserve to be living the best life. Huh? The song, I've spoken about this song, but I'm still going to talk about it. So Kanye West talks about driving 30 hours from Florida, no, from LA to Chicago. Says, hey, 30 hours. So he used to drive from LA to Chicago. Now I was calculating that distance. If I was not wrong, it could be Nairobi to Abidjan, 30 hours. Now imagine if we had good roads connecting to our neighborhoods. Imagine if we had good roads. These guys give money for roads, knowing that no road will be made because they want to profit from the imbalance that they have created and instigated. There was a time Kinangop farmers were pouring milk because they had no cooling systems and there were no roads to transport that milk. So they used to pour the milk in the ground. Now, the times that I've gone to West Africa, there was a time, I think 2 years ago, I was in Cameroon and I stayed there for a month. Me, I drink fresh milk. Drinking long life milk was like, Jesus, man. Me, I don't drink long life milk, bro. I drink fresh milk. Those guys, they import their milk from wherever, from France. So it is in the interest of the colonialists, of the imperialists, to keep us divided so that we are fighting, we are on Twitter, Kenya versus Uganda, Kenya versus Ghana, instead of trading with each other. You understand? Instead of doing business with each other. Like now, when Uhuru and his brother Mohoho were stealing the SGR, the initial blueprint was Mombasa to Malaba, so that it connects with an SGR of Uganda, and then we connect with another one to Arusha, and then we connect with another one to Congo. So over the weekend, instead of me being in Nairobi, going to Kilimani to hang out with the people there who are just being brought for champagne, I'd be taking a train, a speed train to Kampala. I go there, I sit with there. It's when you're in a new environment, you're able to detox, you're able to think better, see things from a different perspective. I'd be taking a train to Arusha. I told you I would land in Brussels airport. From the airport, you just go underground, you take a train, it takes you to the central station of Brussels. It's called Brussels Midi. I take a ticket there instantly. The wait is no more than 45 minutes. I'm on a train, TGV. I'm on a TGV train from Brussels to Paris, and I'm in Paris within 1 hour. There are people who live in Brussels or Paris and work in the other city, vice versa, and go every day, every morning and every evening. A guy is going on train because it only takes you 1 hour. That same 1 hour is what you take on one of these major highways na umeenda mahali kidogo sana. So if because Uhuru was also a puppet of the West, they knew he was stealing, but they were still giving him money. They were still throwing money at him because they have more to make from bad governance in Africa. They have more to make. So when they find the most corrupt person, they throw him with money. They tell him, what do you want? You want to buy an apartment in London? Here it is. Here the paperwork. You want to hide the money where? In Switzerland. Here. They even send you personal bankers from UBS, from all those big banks. They send you those personal bankers here. Now you just transfer your money here. Nobody will ever come for it. So if that SGR had been made from Nairobi to Malaba, we wouldn't be complaining as it is now. But now they are saying that, it's not viable because these guys stole a lot of money from the existing project and they didn't deliver it as had been the initial objective. So hindering our movements, our integration as Africans is a colonial construct. is an imperial construct. So we are pouring milk as people in West Africa, in Ghana, in Cameroon are importing milk from France. Does that make sense? These are our brothers and sisters. We were all connected. These guys came and imposed their religion, their language. So if we had such a road that Kanye West was using, 30 hours driving, I was doing the road equivalent. I think it was, if I'm not wrong, it was from Nairobi to Abidjan in Ivory Coast. So you can imagine if we had visionary leaders who are in, now we'd be making the roads. We'd be driving from Cape to Cairo. But that would, if we are trading with each other, they know they are out of the game. They know they are not relevant. So they continue extracting from us, though not directly, but through the puppets that they impose in the African nations. Yeah. 30 hours. Yeah, 30 hours. So you cannot awaken your mind as you continue consuming the garbage that is pushed on mainstream media, on the gatekeepers of social media. You cannot. It is impossible. You cannot be, there's no way you can tell me you're keeping up with the Nyako Akothee beef and you want to be mentally liberated. No. Hapana. Kwa hivyo today I've given you a lot of time bana, na nimewapatia time mingi, 82 minutes. I'm even feeling drained when I think about how you people are deliberately, you're deliberately consuming content that will drive you away from your awakening. I feel angry. I don't understand what's wrong with you. Are you feeling my outrage? Can you feel it? You're watching people who are draining your energy so that you are around, you're toxic to your family members, to your children, to your wife, to your baby daddy, to your baby mama. Somebody was telling me that the baby daddy who is available is the one who is treated like trash, and the one who is unavailable, who is toxic, who is abusive, that's the one who that's the one you never talk about him. You always try and embarrass the one who is available. So you're toxic one way or another. So my question is, how long will you continue consuming these low vibrational content to make you're becoming a liability to the rest of humanity? So when I meet you in the bar, the first thing you want to tell me is about all these nonsense shenanigans, all these staged and scripted PR stunts by Akina Sakaja. You're telling your friends, you're telling who, you're telling... Lucy is saying she gave up on Kenya a long time ago. No, don't give up on Kenya. Don't be like the older generation. You're seeing them. Old people, watu wazee wako na watoto wazee. Vilma Tijuana anasema leo mumesota, mujarusha kakitu. Leo mumesota, hakuna shida. We do this for the long game. We don't do this for the money. We do this for the long game, and we hope that one day mutafunguka macho. But in the meantime, you are allowed to continue going on TikTok, kunyonga na videos za the TikTokers, the twerkers. You are allowed to do that, because si hivyo ndivyo tulimtuma Diaspora mufanye, na mkiambiwa hivyo mna jam kai unatuambia nini? Unatuambia nini? You're so sahihi, wote mumeingia kwa hiyo wao ya Akothee na Nyako. Hai, tulimtuma Diaspora kufanya nini my friend? Kufuatana na tuvita twa Kenya na tuudaku twa Kenya. Wise man is saying he's looking forward to a leader who upholds the plight of Kenyans at heart. That leader is not found in utopia. You have to breed, you have to nurture him, you have to align with whoever aspires and espouses those aspirations and ambitions of yours. You cannot sit there and expect it is going to fall like manna from heaven. You cannot stay there as you're consuming your scripted and whatever. You're carried away by the agendas and the gatekeepers of the day. You cannot. This you have to make a commensurate investment in the future of Kenya, and you won't enjoy it. You are doing it for your children. Are you ready to make that sacrifice? No, because you want to be the one, and you want to be the one engaging and consuming all this content and what you want to be that guy. So that dream that you're harboring will remain to be a figment of your imagination. Santi sana William Dollar ameniambia check your M-Pesa. Leo mumesota sana, mumeambiwa mumesota zaidi. Nafikiri pesa yote iko kule TikTok mkifuata hizo vita. Fuateni vita watu wa diaspora. Kesho tunafaa tuwatafutie skando ingine ya Samido mfuate. Mfuate. Tunafaa tumtafutie Suga Shambe amfanyie kakitu ili because huko sasa mkiona huko mnamwagika huko. Mnamwagika huko. Sasa tuliwatuma diaspora kufanya nini my friend? Why did we send you? Kama hiyo ndio story, you're being easily distracted, man. It's crazy. Haya, 87 minutes. Kwaherini, wacheni nitulie. Nimechoka man. Nimechoka. Ni kama nimekuwa nikilima. Even just going through that emotional journey to try and awaken you, to try and remember, to try and connect the dots. It is draining, man. It is so draining, man. So, good night, guys. Kwaherini. Let's see whether we can do this again tomorrow. Thank you to everyone who has tuned in. Rahim Tula. Who was his? Eric. Eric, thank you for the effort. Eric was on the back end trying to send me the questions that you are posting, but you see, sometimes I get emotionally immersed in the topic of the day. Eric, thank you very much. I appreciate, by the way, Eric, and I'm thinking of how to perfect this process. So this is a learning curve. So Eric, thank you very much. Yeah. So cheers. Good night, guys.